The Acolyte, the highly anticipated, and the people who made it must have been high, addition to the Star Wars universe was thankfully canceled after just one season. The show, which promised to explore the darker side of the Force and delve into the mysteries of the Sith, was expected to be a major hit. However, despite its ambitious premise, the series was met with a mixed reaction, ultimately leading to its downfall. The fallout from the cancellation has sparked a heated debate among fans and industry insiders alike, with some pointing the fingers at creative differences, while others blame the show's exorbitant budget and lackluster execution. Today's video is gonna be special. But before we get into that, this video is brought to you by me, Jeff Hicks, and my graphic novel, Stealing Solo. Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called laugh out loud funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to stealingsolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the reward-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to stealingsolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs. The cancellation of The Acolyte has been a bitter pill to swallow for its cast and creators, but glorious for those who didn't like it. The New York Post reported on the cast's reactions, highlighting their disappointment and frustration over the show's premature end. Actors Lee Jung-jae and Daphne Keane expressed their disappointment over the cancellation of The Acolyte after just one season. They expressed shock and dismay, feeling that the series had more stories to tell and potential to explore. That's great and all, but who cares? However, behind the scenes, it seems that the show's fate was sealed by more than just low viewer ratings and critical reception. Ooh, something new. This is going to be exciting. According to Forbes, significant differences emerged between Disney and The Acolyte's creator Leslye Headland, particularly regarding the casting of the lead character. Disney reportedly wanted a more recognizable name to helm the series, like Keanu Reeves, while Headland pushed for a lesser-known actor. This disagreement is said to have created tension, contributing to the show's eventual cancellation. Now, the tension on the set is something we haven't really heard about. We keep hearing how everyone loves this show, everyone cites the interviews discussing how The Acolyte is the gayest Star Wars show ever, and how it's the most expensive Star Wars show ever, but we don't really talk about how it was contentious behind the scenes, and I'm dying to know more. From the outset, Headland had a distinct vision for The Acolyte, aiming to explore the Star Wars universe from a unique perspective, focusing on the darker side of the Force and the origins of the Sith, and the relationship with her sister. Leslye Headland's sister, Rebecca, reportedly played a subtle but influential role in the development of The Acolyte. Known for her background in activism and social justice, Rebecca's perspective often informed the show's thematic elements and character dynamics. While not directly involved in the production, her influence was evident in the series' emphasis on diversity and exploration of complex moral ambiguities within the Star Wars universe. This alignment with progressive ideals became the hallmark of The Acolyte, shaping its narrative direction and contributing to some of the creative decisions that ultimately clashed with Disney's more traditional expectations for the franchise. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Disney was right here. The tension between creative control and corporate oversight became increasingly pronounced as the production progressed. Headland's desire to tell a more nuanced and layered story was often at odds with Disney's expectations for a blockbuster that would appeal to a broader audience. The studio's focus on marketability led to compromises in storytelling, with certain elements being toned down or altered to fit a more conventional mold. The simple fact that The Acolyte's message was lessened makes one wonder how truly bad it could have been. Lesbian space witches were fairly cringy, but knowing that it could have been worse? Just bring it. These creative decisions ultimately created a rift between Headland and the studio, contributing to the show's lack of cohesion and eventual cancellation. The clash between Headland's artistic vision and Disney's commercial interest serves as a cautionary tale about how to deal with massive franchises like Star Wars. However, this creative nightmare is only the tip of the iceberg, which led to the real reason for The Acolyte being cancelled. Again, the real reason The Acolyte failed to secure a second season was not bigotry or hatred as cited by some, but rather cold, hard cash. The series was poorly planned, and despite its massive budget, the money wasn't reflected on screen. With an estimated cost of $670,000 per minute, $22.5 million per episode, and a staggering $180 million for the season, the show was one of the most expensive productions in television history, Yet, despite the enormous expenditure, the Acolyte failed to deliver a return on investment that justified such a hefty price tag. The Acolyte production was plagued by issues from the start, with a lack of clear vision and a reliance on flashy effects and set pieces that did little to enhance the story. Ironically, those elements were often cited by fans as lacking, thus resulting in scenes that are laughable at times. In the wake of the Acolyte's cancellation, a vocal segment of the fanbase has been clamoring for more. Desperate to see this story continue, fans have been proposing various solutions to reduce costs and keep the series alive. Forbes reported that some fans have suggested trimming the budget down to a more reasonable level, arguing that there is no need for a second season to cost $180 million. They believe that with a more modest budget, the Acolyte could still thrive and deliver compelling narratives that they crave. However, these fans are missing the point. This article's naivete is astounding. Renewing the Acolyte would not magically fix the underlying issues. The suggestion that this show is critical for Disney to push Star Wars beyond the Skywalker era is laughable. The idea that the Acolyte's cancellation signifies a lack of ambition on Disney's part is misguided at best. In reality, Disney's decision to pull the plug on the Acolyte was not a sign of short-sightedness, but a necessity to move forward and stop bleeding money on a project that was doomed from the start. Our friend over at Forbes, Paul Tassi's insistence that Disney should press forward despite fan backlash is the epitome of wishful thinking and ignorance. The truth is, no amount of ambition can save a project that is fundamentally flawed. This writer, Paul Tassi's bias and idealism clouds his judgment, rendering his opinions unreliable. Just go back and read everything he's ever put out from Forbes and you'll understand what I'm talking about. This debacle with the Acolyte also highlights a larger issue within the entertainment industry: the overemphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI has become a divisive topic, with its proponents pushing for representation at any cost, often to the detriment of the story. While the goal of creating more inclusive content is understandable, the execution has frequently resulted in tokenism and a loss of narrative integrity. Instead of focusing on crafting compelling stories with well-developed characters, many productions have become a vehicle for political and social messaging. This shift in priorities has alienated many viewers who feel the entertainment has become less about storytelling and more about preaching. Back in the 90s, they did it right. In that era, diversity in entertainment was organic and celebrated unity. Shows and movies featured diverse casts and characters, but the focus remained on the story. In the 90s, TV shows, music, and movies featuring minorities experienced significant popularity. Shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Living Single, and In Living Color showcased black culture and humor. Musical artists like TLC, Tupac, and Selena achieved mainstream success. Films such as Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society also became cultural landmarks, proving that black, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter where they come from. Those stories were just human stories that society bonded over. Audiences embraced that approach, and it felt genuine and unforced. Today, however, entertainment often feels like a platform to highlight differences and push group superiority, leading to a divisive atmosphere that detracts from the enjoyment of the content. See The Acolyte. The legacy of Star Wars has been tarnished by this shift. What was once a beloved franchise that united fans across generations is now a polarizing brand mired in controversy. The question remains, can Star Wars ever bounce back? The franchise is at a crossroads, with the potential to either reclaim its former glory or continue its downward spiral. The key to its revival lies in returning to what made Star Wars great in the first place: compelling stories, rich characters, and a sense of adventure that transcends politics or social agenda. There is growing speculation that Disney may go beyond merely canceling The Acolyte and could potentially erase it entirely from its official canon. This possibility gained traction after it was reported that merchandise related to The Acolyte was quietly removed from the Disney Store. Such a move is unusual and suggests that Disney may be distancing itself from the series entirely, perhaps due to the show's underperformance and its controversies surrounding the production. The removal of merchandise can be seen as a precursor to a more significant erasure, as it hints to Disney may be considering wiping The Acolyte from the Star Wars universe altogether. This scenario isn't unprecedented for Disney. The company made headlines when it removed Willow from Disney+. Despite it being part of a well-known franchise, Willow was taken down as part of Disney's broader cost-cutting measures and restructuring efforts. The removal sparked outrage among fans, especially since it occurred soon after the series' release, just like The Acolyte. Disney cited it needed to streamline its content library and focus on more profitable ventures as the reason for the decision. This move has set a precedent that made the Acolyte fans nervous, as it shows Disney's willingness to erase underperforming content from its platform without hesitation. The potential erasure of the Acolyte also draws comparisons to Warner Brothers' controversial decisions to cancel and delete Batgirl for tax purposes. Despite being nearly complete, Batgirl was shelved indefinitely as part of Warner Brothers' strategy to cut losses and secure a tax write-off. The drastic move shocked the industry and raised questions about the future of other high-budget projects. If Disney were to consider a similar approach with the Acolyte, it could be a sign of deeper financial troubles or a strategic pivot to focus on more lucrative content. While Star Wars will remain one of Disney's most valuable properties, the failure of the Acolyte might prompt the company to take drastic measures, including erasing the series to avoid further financial losses or damage to the brand's reputation. However, it's far too late for that. The Acolyte's downfall serves as a cautionary tale for the entertainment industry. It underscores the dangers of prioritizing agenda over story, overspending without a clear vision, and underestimating the intelligence and desires of the audience. The cancellation of the Acolyte is not an isolated incident, but a symptom of a larger issue that, if left untreated, could spell the end for many beloved franchises. The future of Star Wars and other iconic properties depends on a return to the fundamentals of good storytelling, where diversity is a part of it naturally, ambition is tempered by practicality, and the focus remains on delivering content that resonates with audiences on a deeper level, not an agenda. So folks, I had a lot to say about the Acolyte. I wanted to put all the recent news into one convenient video so you guys can come here and find out everything that's going on and exactly what we think about it and how to fix it. So folks, if you wouldn't mind doing us a favor, hit that thumbs up button to let YouTube know that you enjoy this content, subscribe to WCBS for more because you're going to enjoy it, and be on the lookout for one last thing: Stealing Solo 2. Folks, Stealing Solo 1 was a very successful book. It grossed over $150,000, and thanks to Mark Hamill's notoriety in the news, it has inspired me to go ahead and make sure that Stealing Solo 2 is my next graphic novel. Great news is, for you guys, it's already into production. I've written the outline, I'm writing the final script right now, and then it's on to rough layouts, and then the artwork, and everything else production-wise. But that's a topic for another time. But I am working on that book day and night diligently to bring you something Star Wars related that will make you happy. You will laugh, you'll cry, you won't kiss any money goodbye because Stealing Solo is a good investment. Just ask the fans who've bought it. There's a lot of them out there, and I get messages all the time how much they love it. So if you're looking to laugh at Star Wars expense, or just to laugh to get rid of the pain, well, Stealing Solo is the antidote for all of that. Folks, I'll be back next time with more. Be on the lookout for content from Dragon Con, and make sure you're watching everything from WCBS, including all of our new wonderful shorts. I gotta get out of here, I gotta get ready for more stuff, but in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.